We have all had about 24 hours or so to take in the new allegations against our favorite unk, Shannon Sharpe. There have been some that have shown strong condemnation for him dating someone that's much younger than him, although she's old enough to have a account on a website that allows her to make money selling racy pictures. And then there are others that are saying that he did something outright unbecoming to her and that he should forfeit a large sum of money to her. And then there are some that are saying that she is just looking for a payout. But one thing is certain, in this environment, there is a song that we listened to before our favorite Thursday night show that summed up all of this.
It's a different world, ooh, than where you come from.
And Bobby Brown is asleep on my sofa. You don't believe me, huh? Okay, come with me, but be very, very quiet.
When historians of humanity look back on the late 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century, they'll discover three inventions that fundamentally changed how romantically people got along with each other. There was, of course, hormonal birth control, which essentially separated the act of sex and intercourse from child rearing. Then there was the invention of the smartphone, which basically let us have computers in our pockets. And then there was social media that let regular people know how important they were to the rest of the world when they got in the proximity of famous people. And it just became
A different world. It's a different world.
How many kids do you have?
Oh, I have no kids. Girl, look at this figure. Hold up. I know you don't know too much about it, but let me tell you something. I don't even know how to talk to kids. I'm telling you about a figure.
What is interesting to me, if not vexing about this particular video, is that this young lady clearly wants to be seen by men, and she's wearing clothing that will elicit a kind of chemical response that over hundreds of thousands of years have been developed in human males. Because, quite simply put, they see her as very beautiful, she is beautiful, and men would like to procreate with her. But she clearly has an aversion to pregnancy, which is the new part of all of this. She wants to engage in the act that creates children. Clearly. She wants to do this with a man who has resources or is good looking. Clearly. But this act is clearly divorced from the act of making children now, which of course means
It's a different world. It's a different world.
we're starting to see a commonality happening in this new, different world with guys that have something to lose when they want to have some evening fun. We all remember the Drake Tabasco incident, shout out to Chisha Zed, where he was with a young lady and he left an item behind, and the young lady tried to retrieve said item and do something with said item that was not something that he agreed with, and he took preventative measures to make sure she couldn't do what she wanted to do, and she wanted to file a lawsuit because of that.
Oh, it's hot. Anybody got some milk?
When I walked in, it was packed. And what do you think I saw? What do you think I saw?
What did you see?
Exactly what I thought I was gonna see.
What?
80 women sitting alone. No men in sight. None.
I saw so many black women try to solve a problem in dating by starting to host events in person, trying to create third spaces to facilitate dating like offline. And you know what would happen every single time? The men were not signing up. They would be selling tickets to speed dating, and they would always end up with men's tickets on sale. Always, because they weren't buying in, right? Not one single man sent their profile in.
I approached a black man this week at like a dating event, and he was not interested in me, and that by itself is like not a great story, right? I tried to shoot my shot, he was not interested, I moved on. But immediately after I walked away from this man, he went up to a group of 5 white women and he introduced himself to all of them. And then I kind of observed out of like the corner of my eye for the rest of the evening, this man was only going up and talking to different white women. Later that night, another very attractive black man came in, the exact same thing, only talked to the white women that were in the room. There were maybe 6 or 7 black women throughout. And I could tell, I would look over at the black women occasionally, they would be looking, we would all be observing the same thing. We're all thinking the same thing, right? And as someone who has reviewed a bunch of different like dating events, I have seen this play out so many times where you walk into a room, the black women are looking for other black men and the black men are not looking for black women.
As for the content of the text between Shannon Sharpe and this young lady, I'll let you do your own research and see what they were talking about. It was rather salacious, and I think that the mistake that Shannon Sharpe made was that, simply put, when you have to pay, you have to pay. And he chose not to pay, and now he's going to have to pay on the back end, because if you're in an environment, which we are in now, specifically in the West, where everything is centered around money, then that means all of the relationships are centered around money. And even if they aren't quote unquote centered around money, the recalibration is occurring to such an extent that young ladies are wondering, why aren't guys going to dating events? And guys are simply saying, it's about money. You want me to pay for you, so just tell me how much it is up front, because I know it's not about love. Now, is that true with all women? Of course it's not. But in this recalibration, guys only have one real choice. Either you have to adapt, or you're going to play by the old rules and get got.
I got money.
But those not respectable women.
I don't want no respect.
But don't you want commitment?
What? Go who?
A gentleman wrote in a post that Keith Sweat had made a trip to Colombia, and I replied, IKYFL, you know what that means, because I didn't believe it, but the gentleman was correct. I was watching O'Shea Duke Jackson's video, shout out to him, and he covered it, that Keith Sweat enjoyed going to Medellin, Colombia, not necessarily because he's rich or he wasn't, I don't know, his financial situation, but he likes going there because the young ladies like him for just being a simple American as opposed to the fame that he has. And this is a major change. The guy that's seeing, there you go, telling me no again, a billy goat, is going to Colombia now. There's no more clear sign than this.
It's a different world, ooh, than where you come from.
Everything here is about money. When I talk to women overseas, they don't give a fuck how much money you got. They want to know if you got a good character. I was just telling this yesterday. I was in the Netherlands. I was at a party. I'm talking about some of the finest women on the planet, and was pulling the. And guess what? They wasn't getting in cars. They was getting on mountain bikes. The bitch getting on the back, her legs crossed, hold a nigga by the waist, zooming off. Yo, I swear to God. Right.
Shut up, bro.
Not getting in no Benz, not getting in no Range Rover, on a mountain, mother. That's why young men and women, get your passports
and get the
out of here and see the world. It will open your eyes to that you will be blown away.
I am a retired high-end escort, and I was also the madam of a really popular brothel in a big city in Texas. And most of the men who were clients, I would say like 98% of them, were nice guys. Yeah, shocker, right? These men thought that it was easier to just pay for companionship, pay for this intimacy, than to go out in the real world and continue to be eaten alive by women who were out there who were pretty much just after their money. Or just in general, just tired of being disappointed and not getting what they wanted. And so they knew that if they saw an escort, they would get what they wanted. No fuss, no muss.
One of the hard things to confront as a romantic is the fact that all relationships have a cost to them. Young ladies don't want to date guys who don't have anything going for themselves. We know this. They'll tolerate some guys because they look a certain way or because they make them feel a certain way, but when the rubber meets the road, that young lady is going to want some resources. And if she can afford to pay for the guy, then she'll do that, but that's a very small group of women that are very comfortable with funding their guy to be with them. The great number of young ladies, no matter where you go on the planet, want a guy that is better than them, that earns more money than them. And if they can't get that money from you, then what you're going to see is the opposite of that, which is, well, I'm going to get some fame off of you. And we saw that with Julian Edelman. I think we saw that with Trevor Bauer. I'm pretty sure we're seeing that now with Unc. If you don't pay for the discretion, and some will say, well, you're not rich yet. Well, okay, fine. But let's say you're rich 10 years from now. If you pay for the discretion 10 years ago, that young lady has something to lose because the place that she works for is protecting identities. However, in an environment that's pretty much dog eat dog, where everyone's looking for either money or some fame, and you might be a guy who's upwardly mobile, or you just have something to protect. You can't move that way, especially if you're looking for love, because if you're looking for love in this environment, it's just looking for a discount, and the discount's not there, which essentially means you have to pay down the road, which is essentially what Unc is going to have to do now. I'm not saying that women don't love. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the environment has changed so much that the baseline assumption has to be she wants something out of the relationship, and love, the way we define it, has to be defined more practically than it is romantically. Because quite simply put, many young ladies can afford to date for fun. If they're dealing with the kind of resource scarcity and difficulty in elevated prices that everyone's dealing with, she's going to need some help. Some young ladies can deal with that in a more healthy fashion, surely. But there are some young ladies that see it as an opportunity to come up on a guy and get something out of it. And if you're a guy on your way up and a baby like Anthony Edwards, or Instagram post that can make you go viral like this young lady previously can help you get something out of that one night, I would imagine that's going to become the norm. And if that's the norm, that different world, then we have to move differently. And moving differently might mean there are times you have to pay. Because understand this, when you go overseas, you're still paying. The only difference is that you're paying with your social status, not with your wallet. When guys going overseas start to understand the difference between young ladies that are for a good time and young ladies that are for more than that, they can understand that they're offering their social status if they built themselves up to a certain standard, and they can offer that as the payment. And that payment is more than enough for a large number of young ladies all across the planet. And when guys understand that that's the cost, instead of them pulling their wallet out, which is the cost back home, then they can understand the kind of woman they can find, the environment she's going to be in, and he's going to deal with her, and essentially the kind of relationship he's going to build, which is what we're doing all of this for in the first place. You got to pay, but the way you pay is going to change based on where you are. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.